The reason we're late, I hurt myself. I was making dinner, and I got this new knife sharpener. It is a work sharp, is what it's called. And it has these sandpaper bands, and they go around in it, and then you stick the knife in this guide, and you pull the knife through. Well, I've got this big butcher knife that I love using. It's my favorite knife. It's really well balanced. It's a great knife. And I was convinced that I destroyed the blade on this machine. But I hadn't cut anything with it yet. So I didn't know for certain. Well, I got it upstairs tonight, and I was cutting onions and didn't have my finger in the right place and took off almost my entire fingernail down to the skin underneath it. So I went to urgent care. I didn't think there's really anything that they could do, but there was. They soaked it in a solution that stopped the bleeding, and then they gave me this thing to put on top of it that's supposed to keep it from bleeding more, and then they used this really cool contraption that looked really... You'll understand why I'm sheepish about this, but it's this cage, and it had this gauze in it, and they would take the cage and they'd bring it down over my finger, and then they'd bring it back up, and they'd leave a layer of gauze, and then they'd bring it down again, and then they'd leave a layer of gauze, and then they'd do... And I'm like, I couldn't say anything because I'm a professional and a Christian. You know? So the other thing that is a little bit different tonight is I have a different setup for the streaming, which is why there's a delay and different things like that. I am doing something different. I am actually streaming using my amazing professional camera and different streaming equipment that is supposed to give me a better, more quality picture. And you can tell me if you think that the picture is better quality and if you think that everything's working better, or maybe it isn't. I don't know. We'll find out after it's all over and said and done with. But yeah, so that's why we're delayed. Is I hurt myself. I walked into the place and they said, "What'd you do?" The urgent care. I cut my finger. And they're like, "Oh," and they giggled, and then I started to get the flop sweats because I had PTSD from going there when my son was hurt. And I hate going there. All right, so let's start talking about something else because I don't want to end up getting here and floppy sweaty and grossed out. So some cool things as far as bourbon goes. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but this is kind of neat. Evan Williams Bottled and Bond. This is probably my favorite low-cost bourbon. It's bottled and bond. It's 100 proof. It's got all the gloss and glamour of a bottled and bond bourbon, but it's like $15, $16, something like that. Well, they changed the label, and I'm sorry to point with this finger, but this one is bulky. So they changed the label. It's still the same great juice, but it's a new label, and I thought you might like to know that it's still there, and if you see this label, it is the right bourbon, okay? All right. The other thing that happened today is I mentioned on my Facebook page, my private page, that there is a bourbon exchange happening. It's a Facebook-based, Facebook Messenger bourbon exchange. And basically you get people involved, and what's supposed to happen is you're supposed to be able to buy one bottle of booze for over $40. And then there's supposed to be a bunch of people that do this as well as it spreads out. And eventually you could end up with like 30 bottles of bourbon from all these different people. I haven't seen any yet. But then again, the person that I was supposed to send bourbon to, I hadn't sent it to yet. So when I went to the store today, I picked up a bottle and I had his address, and I didn't want to muss around with, shipping it. So I delivered it to him. And he had one of those cool doorbells that you push and then this little light comes on and you're on camera and he can talk to me through it. He wasn't even home. But I left it on his porch and I introduced myself a little bit. Didn't tell him who I was per se, just said, hey, I have a bottle for you. And so I left it on his porch and I hope he enjoys it. And I have another bottle of it because I'm going to show you what I did. I went on a shopping trip. Okay. Get this pillow out of the way. All right. So let's start off with the bag that's open because it's open. Yeah. So I just got some everyday things, like things that I like. Like this is the Elijah Craig. I'm a big fan of the Elijah Craig. This is one of my probably top 15. I really like that one. Put it down here. Yeah. And this is the one that I got the guy on the Bourbon Exchange. And I bought one for myself first, and I thought, oh, I gotta make good on this promise I made and do the Bourbon Exchange thing. So I bought this one. This is the Maker's 46, only this one is cask strength. Now, I got to put on the peepers to be able to tell you what that means, because my peepers aren't on. Okay, so the cask strength, oh, that's not so bad. It's 109.6 proof. That's not bad. Not at all. So 109.6. I have actually. There's some other ones that have much higher proof, and I've enjoyed them. So that was another one I picked up today. I'm looking forward to trying that. I feel like I kind of hit the lottery today, really. Because I found another bottle of Michter's. And this is the Michter's bourbon. I like the rye too, but the Michter's, more and more people are finding out about Michter's. That makes it harder to find now. But they had a whole bunch of them at the store today, so I brought one. And every time I see one, I buy one, whether I think I'm going to drink it or not. So, because this is one of my favorites. And this was introduced to me by a friend of mine. And I really like Michter's. And we haven't given it a picture, and we haven't done a tasting on Michter's. So you will be seeing this one again in the future. All right. What else did we get? It's like Christmas. Okay, so I had a bottle of Larceny, and I hadn't had Larceny in a while. It was smooth. I've forgotten how much I like Larceny. So I had to replace that bottle. It's not an expensive bottle. It's only like $25. $29, something like that. It's not a crazy expensive bottle, but I really like this one. And right now at the Kroger on 6th Street in Findlay, they got the Mondo bottles, baby. They got the big ones. I mean, they're stupid. They're so big. So I got that. And then last but not least, I picked up another bottle of the small batch 1792, because the last 2 bottles I've had of this have gone down really well. So I needed another one, and I may box this one. I may not. I may drink it, but we'll see. We'll see. There's more small batch. The 1792 in small batch is easy to find. Now, if you haven't bought this, why haven't you bought this? This is a really, really good bourbon. All of them I've shown you tonight are good bourbon, baby. I'm not going to show you anything cruddy. Even Evan Williams with the new label. I mean, it's only $16, $15, $16. But for a $15, $16 bourbon, you're not going to find a better one. Now, I do know of some other ones that I like. You can't find them very easily, if at all, in Ohio. One of them is the very old Barton. For $15, that's a really good bourbon. The other one is the $15 Old Fitzgerald. Really good. I mean, I've tried the Benchmark, and that's a Buffalo Trace product, and it's okay. And I've tried, what's the other really cheap one in that? Oh, the Old Ezra. That's a 90 proof, I think, or something like that. And it's okay. But the Evan Williams for the 100 proof that it is, the bottle and box, it's $15. Really good. Really good. All right, so I cannot tell if anybody is doing any commenting. So I'm going to check my phone real quick just to see if anybody is doing any commenting. And if not, that's fine. That's fine. I can get along on my own. This has been, are we even streaming still? It says we are. I don't like this new. Oh, yeah, okay, you still are. Just, okay, so Joe's watching. Okay. All right, so let's get on to the main event. We all know that this has been a bad year. Some of us have had bad years. Some of us have had terrible years. In some ways, this has been a really, really terrible year. In other ways, it's been an awesome year. So you try to mix the two together. And at the end of the day, what you do is you celebrate the fact that you're still breathing every day and that there's a God in the sky that loves you. And what else you got, right? I probably look a little different since we did the last Bourbcast. When we did the last Bourbcast, I weighed 240 some pounds. And today I weigh 190. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing that came out of this year. Yeah. So let's celebrate, shall we? I did not get a photo ready. It's ready. I'm just not ready to push a button and have it be live, so I'm going to do it after we're done. But today we're going to bring out the granddaddy of them all. Now, some people are going to argue with the fact that this is the granddaddy of them all. But it's the one that is really sought after, that people are looking for and can't find, and people that are new into the bourbon search are killing themselves trying to get a hold of this stuff. And that's the Blantons. Now, this bottle has been opened. I have had Blantons before, so this is not going to be the same type of tasting as something that I've never had before. This bottle was one of 3 that I have. This one was opened in the end of October when I won an award at a screenwriting contest, Best Voice, and then went on to win a second award called the Krista Keller Award. And it was the award that got me professional representation as a screenwriter in Hollywood. So if I write a screenplay and the synopsis to that screenplay, and it's a good synopsis, this person can take my screenplay or write synopsis and get it in front of major players in the studio system in Hollywood. Yeah. And then if they get the script and they like the script, they will probably have some notes and some changes, but if they like it, they might buy it, and then they make a movie that I wrote. Without that management, that's a pipe dream. And now I have that management. And it's something that millions of screenwriters all over the world want and don't have and can't get. And I got it. And I'm not taking a moment of that for granted. That's why we celebrate with Blantons. Now, what makes Blanton so special? First of all, it's a Buffalo Trace product. It's been around a really long time. It's one of their best bourbons. The horse on top is one of 7 horses. It spells out Blanton's, Blanton's, so 8. So that's what the Blantons. I mean, we talked about what was that called? Blade and Bow, and the 5 keys that they have, and how they're collectible. All the keys are different. Well, this is Blanton's, and all of these toppers. And I would hold it up close to the camera, but since I'm using a different camera, it would be way out of focus if I brought it up there, so you won't be able to see the letter on it anyway. So I won't do that. But what I will do is pop this bottle. Oh. The way to open this is really clever too. You use this and unwrap it. It's a neat bottle. And then do this. Let's get it. I'm going to do like I always do. And I'm going to let it set. And I'm sorry I keep looking off in the other direction. I'm looking at my screen, and the camera's here, but the screen is here. Normally what I used to do is use the camera on the screen. But today I'm using a professional camera, and I need to remember to keep looking at that. So, sorry. We're going to kick this up again in January at some point. And I'm trying to think about what I want to do about it, how I want it to work. I may do virtual tastings where I recommend early in the week a bourbon for you to go get. And it'll be one that's easy to find. It's not going to be a Blanton's, right? It'll be one that I haven't done here before. It's a bourbon that I've had, but maybe you haven't. So maybe we'll do that. I haven't 100% decided. But let's say that we decide to do the Elijah Craig. This is something you can find on the shelf everywhere, all day, every day. And it's fantastic. This is 94 proof. It's really, really good bourbon. Like I say, it's probably my top 15. But I could early in the week say, hey, go get a bottle of this so we can drink it together. Did you dig that? Or do you like it when I try something that, you've never heard of and do it that way? Just let me know what you want me to do, and that's what we'll do. Or maybe a little bit of both, or I don't know. We'll see. The Michter's is coming up. The Michter's will do. But after the new year, we're going to ramp these up again and start doing it again. Because I had fun doing it, and I've been off of Facebook because who needs that? I know I'm here now, but I'm on it as a page, and I still work my pages, but as far as my personal Facebook, who needs it? I mean, the election garbage and personal garbage and mask garbage. I mean, who wants that? I don't want that. I don't want to read any of that. Just negativity, and golly, with 2020 the way it is, who needs more negativity in their lives, right? So I know I'm a breath of fresh air tonight, huh? That will help. When I have my Blantons, that's going to help. Because that's celebratory. It's Christmas. It's God's gift to us. Christmas. I've never been a big fan of Christmas. It's not because of the religious angle. That's the part I like. I've never been big on the gift giving. I mean, there was one year I told my family, I said, can we just not do gifts and just go out to dinner? And they all look at me like I was a leper. They looked at me like I was crazy. Are you serious? You don't want to do gifts? What? Don't you love us? They didn't say that. But that's kind of the connotation of what it's like when you just say, can we just go to dinner and spend time together and maybe watch a holiday movie together? Pardon me, I needed a little agua. But, so the gift-giving part of it, I mean, I'm good at giving gifts. I'm good at it. And I actually like doing it. I think it's the receiving part of it. I always get stuff I like. But I've just never enjoyed the getting part of Christmas. At least not since I was a kid. I mean, Santa Claus, right? So last year, though, I asked for some bourbon for Christmas. And I got it, and that was good. It lasted almost until the next day. Oh, all right. So let's do this. Let's just... So the other thing I'll tell you is I think I might have had COVID sometime maybe in August. There was a time in August that I lost my sense of smell and definitely my sense of taste. Taste more than smell for me. I never had a fever. I never really had trouble breathing. It kind of felt like I was maybe having an asthma attack or something. But I wasn't what I would say short of breath, right? No more than what the normal anxiety of the year and what this year has been like for me. I mean, anxiety can bring shortness of breath. And I've had plenty of it this year. I'm sure a lot of you have too. So But I did lose my sense of smell and my sense of taste. Most of it is back, but this is not quite as well tuned as it was before the COVID stuff happened. So I will tell you that now, that my sniffer may be a little off, and my taster may be a little off too. But I'm going to give it my best shot, and it's Blanton's, and you can't really go wrong with it. So let's do this. All right. Got out the old Bourbon Trail glass. I haven't had this out since May, and it's nice to have it out. It's nice to do this. I'm glad you're with me. Thanks for coming along. Okay, so they say that smelling salts are supposed to help you reset your nose, and the amount of alcohol in the nose of this may just be good enough for smelling salt. Ooh, baby. Yeah, it's digging right through. That's like menthol eucalyptus. It's like going right through. Okay, so I'm getting a mixture of interesting scents. And again, the sniffer's probably off, but I definitely am getting a peppery smell. I'm getting some citrus, a leather, hint of honey. Citrus is actually coming through pretty strong. I can't tell you what citrus it is. It is definitely cleaning out my sinuses, though. That's the alcohol. That's the ethanol that I'm catching in the nose. Now, this Blanton's, got to put on my eyeballs, pardon me. This Blanton's is only 93 proof. Yeah. So it's not like it ought to be super powerful getting up in the olfactories, but it is. And could just be that I haven't done this in a while and my nose is healed from all the scarring from what I did before. A dark fruit as well. There's like a raisin or a date. It's a complex nose. And that's the thing I like about Blanton's, is that the complexity is not just in the nose, it's everywhere. The complexity is in the palate as well. So, but the peppery, again, my nose may not be working all that right. I'm not detecting a lot of oak. This is not a big woody bourbon like other bourbons where the oak is very, very forward. The pepper and cinnamon is forward in this. That may be what I'm detecting. That may be what's really getting into my sinuses, if it is the cinnamon. Yeah. So it's all kind of a muddled mess, but little senses are coming through. Again, it's been a while since I've done this, and the COVID thing that I think that I had isn't helping me. For those of you just joining us, the reason I was late is I cut my finger tonight. I cut my fingernail clean off. I sharpened a knife, and the knife was, I thought I ruined the blade. I thought I completely botched it on the new sharpener that I got, but no. That thing is sharp. And I was cutting an onion, and I went a little off course and took my whole fingernail off. So, yay, fine. My daughter says that when the ball drops and we go into 2021, she and her friends are going to yell Jumanji, because then it's time for the game to end. All right. Yeah, see, the ethanol in the nose is still, it's there. And there may be a nice oakiness to it. I'm not detecting that with my nose the way it is right now. And the ethanol is definitely covering up some of the flavors. But again, that could be me. So, but hey, it's almost Christmas. We're doing this. Wow. there's a reason why this bourbon is sought after. The complexity on the nose is complexity on the palate. The ethanol isn't as strong, but it's there. It's got a bite. This is a spicy. I want to know what the mash bill is. I want to know if it's got a high rye content, because we've talked about ryes and we've talked about what they do. They add kick, they add spice. Let's see if it says on here. It's got a lot of stuff. Bourbon whiskey dumped on 12/7/19 from barrel 226. Stored in the warehouse. H on Rick number 44. Individually selected, filtered, and bottled by hand. And nothing. Yeah, I will have to, when I post the picture, I'll post the mash bill and see what the level of rye is. And sometimes they don't say. Buffalo Trace is a little cheeky when it comes to that. But I would bet that this is a higher rye because it is so spicy and peppery. Very smooth on the palate, very present. There are flavors everywhere with this. And a lot of people like it when they take that swallow and it kicks a little bit on the way down. You feel it going down your back. That's what it's doing. This is a premium bourbon. It's not just sought after because it's sought after. I mean, there are some bourbons out there that are good and that are sought after crazy. Buffalo Trace is a good bourbon. And it's hard to find Buffalo Trace. But it's not this. You can find Buffalo Trace every now and then. Blanton's is a premium product. And it's highly sought after because of how good it is, because it's so hard to find, and because of the collectible horses that adorn every single cork. So it's got the trifecta. I do understand that they have it on the shelf at Buffalo Trace Distillery a few times a week. The last time I was there, which was about a year ago, I went 2 days in a row to the distillery, and they didn't have any on the shelf for those 2 days. Oh, well, maybe we'll get tomorrow. The way Kentucky works is stupid. Buffalo Trace has to actually sell their alcohol back to the state before they can sell it to you, the consumer. They make it there. But they can't sell it to you there. They have a store, but it has to have been purchased by the state, and then they have to purchase it back. I don't know if it has something to do with taxes. I don't know. It's dumb. But you'd think that they'd be able to sell it right there on their own shelves and take taxes to the state. But, every state regulates liquor differently. And I don't know what the issue is. And for those of you that are using Adobe Flash for anything, let me just tell you that it's annoying that they continue to tell me that they are getting rid of Flash and that I should uninstall it. And then they take me to adobe.com and they just screw everything up. Now I can't see anything. I can't see my feed. All the stuff came out. Where in the hell? Oh, sorry. So Adobe Flash is going to be going away, and it's none too soon because it's annoying. Okay. I do have some stress. In there. And I'm probably not coming across very pleasantly. I apologize for that. Let's have another drink of kindness. Isn't it take a sip of kindness? Isn't that part of the old thing? Whatever the thing is that they sing on New Year's Eve? Old Lang Syne? Yeah, let's do another one. I did bring ice, but I just can't see putting ice in this Blanton's. But then again, I can't see putting ice in Woodford Reserve or Buffalo Trace or half the other. I mean, I don't ever put ice in bourbon except for when I'm talking to you. Fine. Just let me have another unsullied sip, okay? Okay? You have no idea. Even if you have an idea, you have no idea what this glass of bourbon means to me tonight. That would be meaning with all of you means to me too. I don't know who all's here because I can't really see it. The thing is, I mean, I used to be able to see like comments and let me click on a button here and let's see. Comments, only 10 seconds. Only followers will be able to leave comments. Multiple. I can't tell if anybody's saying anything or not. This whole thing is just the way they've changed it. I just don't know. I see 2 people have liked it and 2 people are watching it, and I've been live for 32 minutes. I got to wrap this up. All right, so let's do the ice. This has already started to melt because I'm not using a ball. This is one of the roses. I did it back in the fall or the spring. And these ice cubes are old, and I should have made new ones in anticipation of tonight, but I didn't. So just give it a little swirl here, and then I may take this ice cube back out because I just feel wrong putting an ice cube in Blantons. Okay, I'm gonna get this ice cube out of here. Sorry for the noise. It cooled it off nicely. It probably added some water to it in the time that it was in there because the ice cube had already started to melt in the cup. So that was enough. I don't want to put any more in this. I don't want to dilute any more than it already has. I will try it again now that it's cool. As you would expect, when you add ice to a bourbon, a lot of times it changes its character, and Blanton's needs to be consumed neat. Don't mix it with anything because it doesn't need it. When you mix a bourbon with something, it's because the bourbon isn't good enough to stand on its own. So if you're having an old fashioned, a lot of people will mix an old fashioned. We did this back in May. If you're making an old fashioned, use something like Old Grandad. It's another good, low-priced, bottom-shelf whiskey that you could drink on its own if you wanted to. The Evan Williams Bottled and Bond with a brand new label is a better bottom-shelf, low-cost, $15, $16 bottle of booze than the Old Grandad is. But the Old Grandad makes a great old-fashioned, makes a great Manhattan. Another one that I've used in old-fashioned before is Larceny. Larceny is a good bourbon, a little better than the Evan Williams with the brand new label. But it is also okay to mix that one because it's not a high-quality premium bourbon. It's good, and I like it, but it doesn't rise to the ranks of Elijah Craig and Evan Williams Single Barrel and Blanton's and Colonel Taylor and Knob Creek, and so it just doesn't. Larceny's good, but it's not that good, right? So and it's not a Michter's either, but it's good, and I like Larceny, but I don't feel guilty putting Larceny in an old fashioned. I don't feel guilty putting it in any other drink either. It's low cost enough, but it's good either way, and I don't feel guilty putting an ice cube in it either. I do feel guilty putting an ice cube in Blanton's, and in my opinion, Blanton's is best served neat. Now, that being said, if you don't like the door to hit you where the good Lord split you, then yes, a splash of water probably wouldn't be the worst idea in your Blanton's. I'm not saying an ice cube. I don't think that the cold does it any good. But a splash of water just to knock it down a little bit, open it up, isn't the worst idea. It's not for me. I think it needs to be drank just like it's presented out of the bottle. Let it sit for a couple of minutes, let it breathe, let it take in the atmosphere, and then drink it, sip it, love it. There was a story somebody told me, I thought it was funny, or I heard it somewhere, read it somewhere, I don't remember. It's been long enough ago that I don't remember how stories are presented. And it's 2020, I don't care. So there was a story of this guy, he had invited his son and his son's friend over for some Blanton. So he'd gotten it. He was all excited. He wanted to share. So he gets it over and pours 3 shots of it. And the father and the son, they do this. The friend, and they look at him like, what are you doing? Yeah. You don't do that with Blantons. You can do that with Jack. You can do it with Jim Beam. You can do it with tequila. You can do it with Larson. You can do it with Evan Williams with a brand new label. Yeah, Blanton's needs to be served as is, needs to be drank as is. If you don't like the kick, a drop of water, but don't do too much to it because you will change the character of it. And that's not something I think that you ought to be doing with Blanton's. So anyway, this is almost Christmas Eve, almost Christmas. And I wanted to share a very special bourbon with you in a very odd year, in a very special year in many ways. Again, some of the blessings I'm really grateful for my work. I'm grateful for the people that have come into my life and have made my work more successful this year than it has been in years. It's a new level of security that I haven't had in a while. I'm grateful for Krista Keller, who's my manager, my talent manager for my screenwriting. Now there's some place for my works to go. There's a possibility that something I write may end up, on Netflix someday, or in a theater if they ever really get moving again, or HBO Max, which seems to be the hottest property now. So I'm grateful for my family, who stands by me no matter what, and they're special people. I'm grateful to you for reaching out to me with little things like, what kind of bourbon should I buy for Christmas? Or, would you add ice to this? Or have you ever heard of this? That feels good. I mean, I've been off of Facebook now generally for a few months. And to still have people remember these Bourbcasts and remember this joy of mine means a lot to me. And I want to thank you during this Christmas season for reminding me that you're here and that you care and that you're a part of my life. And that's important. So with that, I wish you season's greetings. And with that, I'm going to get a little more season. And may you have the happiest of Christmases. May you have the greatest of New Years. And may 2021 be a thing of legend. God bless you. And I don't know if I hit stop on the feed now, if it stops it early, because I've got a delay. So I'm just going to very slowly, drink this. It's still good when you chill it and when you add a little water to it. It's still good. Not quite the same, but it's still good. I'm not getting back into it. We've been in here for a while. So, okay. So I'm just going to slowly lean up and hit the button to stop this. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.